Hi, my name's Rob Garrett. Welcome to the Sports Rep Confidential, where we try to answer questions about the rewards, the pitfalls, and the challenges of being an independent sales rep in the action sports, snow sports, and footwear industries. I've been lucky enough through my career to work with a varied and professional peer group that has provided me with a lot of insights and inspiration over the years. And what I wanted to accomplish here was to share some of those insights with some of those peers that I've been fortunate enough to work with or been inspired by. And if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, constructive criticism, please drop them in the comments below. We'll go from there. So enjoy episode 1. Well, today we are happy to have longtime industry sales rep veteran Kate Lampkin with us today. Kate is a outdoor rep in the predominantly winter sports apparel in the Great Lakes region. And thank you for taking the time.
Well, I will say yes, I'm a soft goods rep, and it was a quote of someone else's early on in my career who said, if it makes noise when you drop it, I don't want to sell it.
Well, that's a good, see, you've already answered a question. Is there a mantra that you have for your category and your direction? So that's a good part of it. So yes, thank you again for taking the time on Sports Rep Confidential here, and tell us a little bit about how you got started in this career. Just kind of a brief intro to your pathway here.
Probably like a lot of reps, it was not planned. I wasn't as a child thinking I want to go into the ski industry. Actually, I was in college. I was halfway through my master's in Bachelor of Social Work, school social work, worked in a ski shop in Northern Michigan, a ski shop that's pretty well known, certainly in the Midwest. I think Bonhoff Ski Shop spat out about 15 plus reps.
Wow.
Back in the day. Yeah, but I just working there to fill up time because I didn't know what I was going to do after college. And that was just the classic. There was pretty well-known rep at the time who needed some help as a sub rep. So I'm like, sure, and it was just the stumble into it type of thing. And that was over 30 years ago. And I will say right here and now, I still love my job. I still love what I do, and I still love the people I work with. So lucky me.
Well, that's fantastic. So did you, once you got into this and you sort of understood the workings of it, did you have a sort of I have a dream song that became, sort of a definition of what you wanted to accomplish in your career?
Well, I think all along, and it's true today too, although income, once you have a child and your child is now in college, money is certainly important to the journey, but it wasn't actually why I got into this industry. It was more the challenge. And I will say back at that time in my early 20s, sales didn't resonate for me, but I think I'll go back to what I studied in college, which is social work, which is listening skills, which is problem solving. So it did sort of, ironically, unbeknownst to me, there was a tie in there. But I have a dream, I think it was, and still to this day, I don't mean to sound quite so poetic here, but it's enjoy what I do. Believe in what I sell. I can't sell it if I don't believe in it. I don't fake it well. But money, yes, it's a priority, but it's not the number one. That's not as much my drive in this as being successful at it for both myself and the people I'm selling to, because it's become family. It's a small little industry. We're smaller than the prune industry, So
Really? Is that true?
Yeah, it is.
The prune industry.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That keeps it in perspective, right?
Yeah.
Now that's great. I don't mean to lead the witness here, but do you feel like that sort of mindset or mantra has helped you through when you've had down cycles in either with your brands or just your career as a rep overall?
Well, I think the down cycles, and I think that's key probably to many careers. My parents were in the education field of education, public education. There were down times there for them, and it was the bureaucracy of it. I would say in my industry, our industry, Rob, it's weather makes a difference. There's a lot of things that the economy makes a difference. But when I was coin a phrase I think a lot of us have used over the years in the ski industry, we're snow farmers. Okay, so but the downtimes come, we're commission, most of us are, in commissions, there's ups and downs to that. I would say, and I'm sure I'm not alone here, many, whether it's our career in the outdoor industry or otherwise, we have been reflective. There have been a number of times, not, I would say less than half a dozen, where I've said to myself, what else can I do? I gotta get out of this industry, and so and I will say, when I've gone through those exercises and literally explored, considered going back to school, etc., I've always come back to, you know what, when I go through the checks and minuses, I'm still good right here. And I can make a comeback. And that's a beauty, I think, also about what we do as commission independent sales reps. You can kind of keep reinventing yourself.
When you first started in the industry, how many, when you looked around at sales meetings and trade shows, what were the percentages of other female reps that you saw that you could, relate to or, share experiences with? And how has that changed moving through your career?
Good question. And I would say, again, I'm, on the senior side of the reps in our industry at this point, but 30 odd years ago, I would say, and it depends on what kind of product, certainly ski or hard goods reps was definitely more male oriented rep force, and probably still is today.
To this day dominated, definitely.
Yeah. Not exclusively, which is good, bad, or otherwise, but I would say back 30 odd years ago, I was definitely in the minority. I would say, gosh, 20% female. Sort of depended on the brand, but I had a well-known, very successful at that time, still in the marketplace and still good and strong, but a sunglass goggle brand. Then I was, gosh, token female, one of very few. I would say within the soft goods sides of things, selling apparel, women do tend to now more and more you see more female reps in that side of the industry. But back then it was definitely a challenge, kind of proving myself as a 20-something year old female. I definitely felt the challenge of holding my ground and just proving I had the chops for it. Not just the skill set, but also, some frisky boys out there back then that you had to stay strong and kind of defend yourself a little bit. It's probably still true today.
Yeah, unfortunate, probably so. Hopefully, yeah. less and less as we progress. For any male or female person entering this, considering becoming an independent rep in the action sports world, what kind of quick suggestion? I know that's a broad question, but what any suggestions or words of wisdom and advice for them?
I'll tell you one that to this day, without doubt, I ask questions of my peers. I ask questions of my customers. How can I better improve? But I also, going into any new brand, or even if certain brands I've been representing a number of years, but listen to those around you has taught me innumerable. Going in thinking you know it all has been occasionally a mistake of mine, and it's tripped me up. When I remember to watch and listen, it just leaps and bounds of success for that kind of an attitude. So I try to adhere to that one. And I think sometimes you get called out from management or your customers, your accounts out there. And I think being humble, I think listening to criticism is really important, because, and there's no rule book for what we're doing, in terms of hiring staff. How do you pay staff? How do they feed themselves? But just running this, it's a really interesting, if there's a book out there, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. I'd buy it for my peers.
Well, that exactly was the impetus for doing this and starting this process. Was this there is no book out there, and I think people sometimes stumble in. We've all seen them at the regional trade shows or even the national trade shows, a little bit lost. And I think your background is, to your point, very pretty much the norm. We all came through retail and then, moved in eventually into sub-rep positions, and then taking over lines or territories as we progress through our careers, or working within one agency for a long time. And it's funny that, places like the Bonhoeffer and Huygards and Continental, I'm also thinking of the surf industry, of a couple of surf shops down in Southern California that became these incubators where so many of the people, as the industries expanded, so many of these people came out of these real core specialty shops that you could just, you would walk into places like the Bonhoeffer, and the place just oozed authenticity and a genuine passion for skiing, tennis, whatever the sports that they represented were.
I think that says a lot for the retailer, the owners, the people running the ship, that they hired good people willing to learn, willing to be trained, willing to, be successful, and had a passion for it too. So I think that says a lot, really going back to the roots of who that crew is, and the crew feeds on each other too, and it just spits out some lifers.
Yeah, for sure. All right, some fun questions. What do you hate to hear sales managers say?
Oh gosh, sorry. How long is this? Well, this one is really dumb, but it's deadline time right now while you ask that question. So I will just throw this one out. Deadline's Friday. Really, is it? Thank you.
That's not on my phone. It's not on my calendar. It just, wow, that date just fell out of the sky, right? Okay, that's a good one. Is there anything that you hate to hear retailers or buyers say?
I have to be careful with this because it's legitimate. I think it sort of goes back to that being aware that I try to be, but there's a lot, especially right now, with everybody is juggling so many more balls. They're wearing more hats than ever. They're the bookkeeper, they're on the sales floor because they're short on staff. They are checking product in, and as a rep, I'm trying to do my job and help them along, and I hear I just don't have time. I'm so busy, and you kind of go, and I go, I'm busy too. We're in this together. So it's that, maybe that's just me feeling misunderstood a little bit, but it's like, yeah, but we're all, and I feel like this really is sort of a family industry. There's something almost ancestral sometimes I feel like about our industry. And it's like, yeah, I'm right there with you. So that one's, it just, maybe that's not fair to say, but it's like, I get it.
Well, I think your point is there in their defense that, you know, owner operator has taken
Oh,
a whole broader scale for specialty retailers at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I hate to hear it because I know how overwhelmed they are. I get it and I feel for them, but I
Yeah.
also feel for myself.
What single product has contributed the most to your career, either financially or just intellectually rewarding? Was the most fun to sell? Was a time where you felt like, yeah, I got this. I'm really doing this.
Okay. I have two.
Okay, two it is.
Well, and there, I would say brands or experiences. I don't know if you could, I mean, product, wow. There's a lot of great products I've enjoyed selling. So I have to answer it with brand experience if I could.
Okay, sure.
And the first one, and I have it here because it's also my favorite business card. And this was one of the first great brands that I represented.
Oh yeah. Oh, Maui and Sons. Yep.
Right? Look at the cutout. It is the coolest card. It was such a creative, dynamic group of guys. And that was the launch of my career. I made no money on it, even though it was a successful brand. But
that's also probably a common thread with most reps. Their first brand, they made no money on.
No, but what I learned, and I'll tell you what I learned significantly with some confidence, because I'm a little pale, pasty white girl from the Midwest, and I go to California to the Maui and Sons sales meetings, and they're surfers, and they're so cool, and I show up just out of my element with the brand I'm selling. They were the most embracing, wonderful, artistic, cool people, and I think were that not such a great opener for me, maybe I would have turned tail and run from this industry once, but that was amazing. And I learned a lot very quickly in terms of putting yourself out there. So that was a great experience. And then the other one I have to say, because I was with them for over 22 years, was Nils Ski Wear. And I got to give Dick Luffler just a shout out for somebody who trained his rep force in beautiful ways. You know, and I think as reps, we all kind of, I don't need somebody to tell me how to do this. I know how to, but he brought in people to help train us how to close the sale, but in very appropriate ways for our industry, how to help people help themselves with what they decide to buy, how to merchandise clothing, how to, it's not just here's a green shirt, here's the red version of the shirt. It's paint a picture. And that vision, giving your buyer the vision to see it as they're being presented the line for the first time. There was so much takeaway from my experience with that brand that I was gifted free lessons in how to succeed. So
that's great.
Yeah.
If you had to have a song that would summarize your career, you think about it and you identify with it as, yeah, that's sort of my timeline. What would it be?
Oh man. You're better at that. I don't know that I have. I'd have to think about that one.
All right. I opened it with a song, so I was trying to close it with a song. We'll come back to you on that one. What brands do you currently represent now?
Kari Troll from Norway. So excited about the growth there, and it's a women's specific brand. It's doing extremely well considering hard times within retail for apparel, especially. Scoop insulated skirts, so much fun. That one's having a comeback too. It's a new cocktail outfit, right? Outside.
Exactly.
Okay. And Saks underwear.
So a good gender mix
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Although over 60% of those purchases are made by women. So once again, you're kind of catering, and that's something, great brands, having fun with them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Kate's up on LinkedIn if you have any questions for her. And we sure appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Rob. This is fun.
It has been fun. Thanks for watching that first episode of Sports Rep Confidential. I wanted to fact check our guest there on her assertion that the winter sports industry was smaller than the prune industry. And we're going to have to give her a little bit of benefit of the doubt. But here's what I found out, that the dried fruit industry in 2020 was $7.4 billion, whereas ski and snowboard gear and apparel business globally is $1.4 billion. So let's assume that prunes are a bigger proportion of the $6 billion difference there. We got clearly some catching up to do. If you've got any comments, constructive criticism, please drop it in the comment section below here. Thanks again.